sun doth beat upon the plain fields. Wherefore let us sit down, Gallathea, under this fair oak, by whose broad leaves, being defended from the warm beams, we may enjoy the fresh air, which softly breathes from umber floods.
Father, you have devised well. And whilst our flock doth roam up and down this pleasant green, you shall recount to me, if it please you, for what cause this tree was dedicated unto Neptune, and why you have thus disguised me.
I do agree there too, and when thy state and my care be considered, thou shalt know the question was not asked in vain.
I willingly attend.
In times past, where thou seest a heap of small pebbles, stood a stately temple of white marble, which was rightly dedicated to the god of the sea. Hither came all such as either ventured by long travel to see countries or great traffic to use merchandise, offering sacrifice by fire to get safety by water, yielding thanks for perils past, and making prayers for good success to come. But fortune, constant in nothing but inconstancy, did change her copy as the people their custom. For the land being oppressed by Danes, who instead of sacrifice committed sacrilege, instead of religion, rebellion, and made a prey of that in which they should have made their prayers, tearing down the temple, and rage so the god that binds the winds in the hollows of the earth, that he caused the seas to break their bounds as men had broke their vows, and to swell as far above their reach as men had swerved beyond their reason. Then might you see ships where sheep fed, anchors cast where plows go, fishermen throw their nets where husbandmen sow their corn, and fishes throw their scales where fowls do breed their quills. Then might you gather froth where now is dew, rotten weeds for sweet roses, and take view of monstrous mermaids instead of passing fair maids.
To hear these sweet marvels, I would mine eyes were turned also into ears.
But at last our countrymen repenting, and not too late, because at last Neptune, either weary of his wrath or wary to do them wrong, upon condition consented to ease their miseries.
What condition will not miserable men accept?
The condition was this, that at every 5 years' day, the fairest and chastest maiden in all the country should be brought into this tree, and here being bound, whom neither parentage shall excuse for honor nor virtue for integrity, is left for a peace offering unto Neptune.
Dear is the peace that is bought with guiltless blood.
I am not able to say that, but he sendeth a monster called the Ager, against whose coming the waters roar, the fowls fly away, and the cattle in the field for terror shun the banks.
And she bound to endure that horror?
And she bound to endure that horror.
Doth this monster devour her?
Whether she be devoured of him, or conveyed to Neptune, or drowned between both, it is not permitted to know, and incurreth danger to conjecture. Now, Gallathea, here endeth my tale, and beginneth thy tragedy.
Alas, father, and why so?
I wouldst thou hadst been less fair or more fortunate. Then shouldst thou not repine that I have disguised thee in this attire, for thy beauty will make thee to be thought worthy of this god. To avoid, therefore, destiny, I think it better to use an unlawful means, your honor preserved, than intolerable grief, both life and honor hazarded, and to prevent, if it be possible, thy constellation by my craft. Now, hast thou heard the custom of this country, the cause why this tree was dedicated unto Neptune, and the vexing care of thy fearful father?
Father, I have been attentive to hear, and by your patience am ready to answer. Destiny may be deferred, not prevented, and therefore it were better to offer myself in triumph than to be drawn to it with dishonor. Hath nature, as you say, made me so fair above all that, and shall not virtue make me as famous as others? Do you not know, or doth over-carefulness make you forget, that an honorable death is to be preferred before an infamous life? I am but a child, and have not lived long, and yet not so childish as I desire to live ever. Virtues I mean to carry to my grave, not grey hairs. I would I were as sure that destiny would light on me, as I am resolved it could not fear me. Nature hath given me beauty, virtue, courage. Nature must yield me death, virtue, honor. So suffer me therefore to die for which I was born, or let me curse that I was born, since I may not die for it.
Alas, Gallathea, to consider the causes of change, thou art too young, and that I should find them out for thee, too fortunate.
The destiny to me cannot be so hard as the disguising hateful.
To gain love, the gods have taken shapes of beasts, and to save life, art thou going to take the attire of men?
Oh, they were beastly gods, that lust could make them seem as beasts.
In health, it is easy to counsel the sick, but it's hard for the sick to follow wholesome counsel. Well, let us depart. The day is far spent.
You, fair nymph, are you strayed from your company by chance, or love you to wander solitarily on purpose?
Fair boy, or god, or whatever you be, I would you knew these woods are to me so well known that I cannot stray, though I would, and my mind so free that to be melancholy I have no cause. There is none of Diana's train that any can train, either out of their way or out of their wits.
What is that, Diana? A goddess? What are nymphs? Maidens? What are pastimes? Hunting?
A goddess? Who knows it not? Maidens? Who thinks it not? Hunting? Who loves it not?
I pray thee, sweet wench, amongst all your sweet troop, is there not one that followeth the sweetest thing, sweet love?
Love, good sir. What do you mean by it, or what do you call it?
A heat full of coldness, a sweet full of bitterness, a pain full of pleasantness, which maketh thoughts have eyes and heart's ears, bred by desire, nursed by delight, weaned by jealousy, killed by dissembling, buried by ingratitude, and this is love, fair lady. Will you any?
If it be nothing else, it is but a foolish thing.
No, try, and you shall find it a pretty thing.
I have neither will nor leisure, but I will follow Diana in the chase, whose maidens are all chaste, delighting in the bow that wounds the swift heart in the forest, not fearing the bow that strikes the soft heart in the chamber. The difference between my mistress Diana and your mother Venus, that all her nymphs are amiable and wise in their kind, and the other amorous and too kind for their sex. And so farewell, little god.
Diana, and thou and all thine shall know that Cupid is a great god. I will practice a while in these woods and play such pranks with these nymphs that while they aim to hit others with their arrows, they shall be wounded themselves with their own eyes.
Come, Phillida, fair Phillida, and I fear me too fair, being my Phillida. Thou knowest the custom of this country, and I the greatness of thy beauty. We both the fierceness of the monster Ager. Everyone thinketh his own child fair, but I know that which I most desire and would least have, that thou art fairest. Thou shalt therefore disguise thyself in attire, lest I should disguise myself in affection, in suffering thee to perish by a fond desire, whom I may preserve by a sure deceit.
Oh, dear father, nature could not make me so fair as she hath made you kind, nor you more kind than me dutiful. Whatsoever you command, I will not refuse, because you command nothing but my safety and your happiness. But how shall I be disguised?
In man's attire.
It will neither become my body nor my mind.
Why, Phillida?
For then I must keep company with boys and commit follies unseemly for my sex, or keep company with girls and be thought more wanton than becometh. Besides, I shall be ashamed of my long hose and short coat, and so unwarily blab out something by blushing at everything.
Fear not, Phillida, use will make it easy. Fear must make it necessary.
I agree, since my father will have it so, and fortune must.
Come, let us in, and when thou art disguised, roam about these woods till the time be past, and Neptune pleased.
Now, mariner, what callest thou this spot on the sea?
It be called a wreck.
I take no pleasure in it. Of all things, I would not be drowned. One's clothes will be so wet when he is taken up.
What's called the thing we are bound to?
A rafter.
Oh, I would rather hang myself on a rafter than be so ailed in the sea. There one may have a leap for his life. But I marvel how our master speeds.
I'll walk by this time he's wet shod. Do you ever see the water bubble as the sea did? What shall we do?
Ye are now in Lincolnshire, where you can want no fowl if you can devise the means to catch them. There be woods hard by, and at every mile's end houses, so that if you seek on the land, you shall speed better than on the sea.
See, now we never say more. I brook not their diet. The bread is so hard one must carry a whetstone in his mouth just to grind his teeth. The meat so salt one would think after his tongue had been powdered 10 days.
Thou hast a sweet life, mariner, to be pinned in a few boards and to be within inch of a thing bottomless. I pray thee, how oft hast thou been drowned?
Fool, thou seest I am yet alive.
Why be they that be drowned? I have thought they went with the fish, and so by chance been caught up with them in the net again. It was a shame a little cold water should kill a man of reason, when she a poor little minnow lying in that hath no understanding.
Thou art wise from the crown of thy head upwards. Seek ye new fortunes now. I will follow mine old. I can shift the moon and the sun, and know by one card what all you cannot do by a whole pair. The lodestone that always holdeth his nose to the north, the 32 points for the wind. The wonders I see would make ye all blind. You be but children. I fear the sea no more than a dish of water. Why, fools, it is but a liquid element. Farewell.
I will go we learn this kind at the cards, for we must live by cozenage. We have neither lands, nor wit, nor masters, nor honesty.
Nay, I would fain have his 32. That is his 3 dozen lacking 4 points. For you see, betwixt us three, there ain't 2 good points.
Let us come a little back till we might learn these points. Sir, a word, I pray thee, tell each thy points.
Will ye learn?
Aye.
Then as you like this, I will instruct you on all our secrets. For there is not a clout, nor card, nor board, nor post that hath not a special name or a singular nature.
Well, begin with your points, for I lack only points in this world.
North, north and by east, north, northeast, northeast and by north, northeast, northeast and by east, east, northeast, east and by northeast.
I'll say it. North, northeast, by northeast. I shall never do it.
This is but 1/4.
I shall never learn a quarter of it. I will try. Northeast is by the west side, and north and by north.
Passing ill.
Hast thou no memory? Try thou.
North, and by north. I can go no further.
Ah, dullard. Is thy head lighter than the wind, and thy tongue so heavy it will not wag? I will once again say it.
I will never learn this language. It will get but small living, if it will scarce be learnt till one be old.
Nay, then, farewell. And if your fortunes exceed not your wits, you shall starve before you sleep.
Was there ever such cousining? Come, let us to the woods. Let's see what fortune we may have there before they meet manned ships. As for our master, he is drowned.
I will this way.
I this.
I this. And this day 12th month, let us all meet here again. It may be we shall all beg together or hang together.
It skills not, so we be together. But let us sing now, though we cry hereafter. Rock, shelves, and sands and seas farewell.
See who would dwell in such hell.
As in a ship which drunk us reel,
Taking sorties from deck to keel.
up we were swallowed in wet graves.
Fall soused in waves, raped by Neptune's waves. What shall we do, being tossed to shore?
Milk some blind tavern and their roar.
'Tis brave, my boys, to sail on land for being well manned. Weak in Christ stand.
The trade of pressing never shall fail. Held the hangman Christ like sail.
Rove then no matter whither, in fair or stormy weather.
And as we live, let's die together.
One heaven gave a cat's a feather. Ah.
Blush, Gallathea, that must frame thy affection fit for thy habit, and therefore be thought immodest, because thou art unfortunate. Thy tender years cannot dissemble this deceit, nor thy sex bear it. Oh, would the gods had made me as I seem to be, or that I might safely be what I seem not. Thy father doteth, Gallathea, whose blind love corrupteth his fond judgment, and, jealous of thy death, seemeth to dote on thy beauty, whose fond care carrieth his partial eye as far from the truth as his heart is from falsehood. But why dost thou blame him or blab what thou art, when thou shouldst only counterfeit what thou art not? Whist, here cometh a lad. I will learn of him how to behave myself.
I neither like my gait nor my garments, the one untoward, the other unfit, both unseemly. Oh, Phillida. But yonder stayeth one, and therefore say nothing. But oh, Phillida.
I perceive that boys are in as great disliking of themselves as maids. Therefore, though I wear the apparel, I am glad I am not the person.
It is a pretty boy, and a fair. He might well have been a woman, but because he is not, I am glad I am. For now, under the color of my coat, I shall decipher the follies of their kind.
I would salute him, but I fear I should make a curtsy instead of a leg.
Oh, if I durst trust my face as well as I do my habit, I would spend some time to make pastime. For say what they will of a man's wit, it is no second thing to be a woman.
Oh, the blood in my body would be in my face if he should ask me, as the question among men is common, are you a maid?
Why stand I still? Boys should be bold. Oh, but here cometh a brave train that will spill all our talk.
Godspeed, fair boy.
You are deceived, lady.
Why, are you no boy?
No, fair boy.
But I see an unhappy boy.
Saw you not the deer come this way? He flew down the wind, and I believe you have blanched him.
Whose deer was it, lady?
Diane's deer.
I saw none but mine own dear.
This wag is wanton or a fool. Ask the other, Diana.
I know not how it cometh to pass, but yonder boy is in mine eye too beautiful. I pray the gods the ladies think him not there, dear.
Pretty lad, do your sheep feed in the forest, or are you strayed from your flock, or on purpose come ye to mar Diana's pastime?
I understand not one word you speak.
What, art thou neither lad nor shepherd?
My mother said I could be no lad till I was 20-year-old, nor keep sheep till I could tell them, and therefore, lady, neither lad nor shepherd is here.
These boys are both agreed. Either they are very pleasant, or too perverse. You were best, lady, make them tusk these woods, whilst we stand with our bows, and so use them as beagles, since they have such good mouths.
I will. Follow me without delay or excuse, and if you can do nothing, yet shall you halloo the deer.
I am willing to go. Not for these ladies' company, because myself am a maiden, but for that fair boy's favor, who I think be a god.
You, sir boy, shall also go.
Oh, I must if you command, and would if you had not.
Now Cupid under the shape of a girl show the power of a mighty god. Let Diana and all her coy nymphs know that there is no heart so chaste but thy bow can wound, nor eyes so modest but thy brands can kindle, nor thought so staid but thy shafts can make wavering, weak, and wanton. Cupid, though he be a youth, is no baby. I will make their pains my pastimes, and so confound their loves in their own sex, that they shall dote in their desires, delight in their affections, and practice only impossibilities. Whilst I truant from my mother, I will use some tyranny in these woods, and so shall their exercise in foolish love be my excuse for running away. I will see whether fair faces be always chaste, or Diana's maidens only modest. Else will I spend both my shafts and shifts. And then, ladies, if you see these dainty dames entrapped in love, say softly to yourselves, we may all love.
Do silly shepherds go about to deceive great Neptune in putting on man's attire upon women, and Cupid, to make sport, deceive them all by using a woman's apparel upon a god? Then Neptune, that has taken sundry shapes to obtain love, stick not to practice some deceit to show thy deity? And having often thrust thyself into the shape of beast to deceive men, be not coy to use the shape of a shepherd to show thyself at God. Neptune cannot be overreached by swains. Himself is subtle. And if Diana be overtaken by craft, Cupid is wise. I will into these woods and mark all, and in the end, will mar all.
Call you this seeking of fortunes when one can find nothing but birds' nests? Oh, would I were out of these woods, for I shall have nothing but wooden luck. Ears, nothing but the squeaking of owls, croaking of frogs, hissing of adders, barking of foxes, walking of hags. But what be these? To hell I shall not go, for such fair faces could never have such hard fortunes. I will follow them. What boy is this?
Oh, what a life do I lead with my master. Nothing but blowing of bellows, beating of spirits, and scraping of crosslets. It is a very secret science, for none can almost understand the language of it. Sublimation, amalgamation, calcination, rubification, incorporation, circination, cementation, albification, and fermentation, with as many terms impossible to be uttered as the art is to be compassed.
Oh, let me cross myself. I've never heard so many great devils in a mouth.
And then there are instruments, crosslets, sublimatories, cucubites, limbics, dissensors, vials, manual and mural for imbibing and conbibing, bellows, multiplicative and endurative.
What language is this? Does they speak so?
And then our metals, saltpeter, baritol, sartatum, sulfurbrand, algarol, residue, sal-almanac, algamony, lunary, brimstone, valerian, tartarolum, greenwort, glass, unsucked lime, chalk, asses, hair, for we know not what to do, I know not what.
Mere air beginning to stand upright. Would the boy make an end?
Oh, and such a beggarly science it is, and so strong on multiplication that he ends not by neither gold, wit, nor honesty.
Then am I just of thy occupation? What, fellow? Well met.
Fellow, on what acquaintance?
Well, why thou sayest that the end of thy occupation is to neither have wit nor money nor honesty, and methinks at a blush thou shouldst be a one of my occupation.
Thou art deceived. My master is an alchemist.
What's that, a man?
Oh, a little is more or less than a man, but a little less than a god. He can make of thy cap gold, and by multiplication of one groat 3 old angels. I have known him of a tag of a point to make a silver bowl, a pint.
Well, that makes thee never have a point, but they all turn to pots. But if he can do this, he shall be a god altogether.
If thou have any gold to work on, then thou art made forever. For with 1 pound of gold, you will go near to pave 10 acres of ground.
Oh, how might one serve him and learn his cunning?
Yeah, easily. First, seem to understand the terms, and specifically mark these points. In our art, there are 4 spirits.
Oh, nay, I have done if you work with devils.
Oh, thou art gross. We call spirits that are the grounds of our art, and as it were, the metals more incorporative for domination. The first spirit is quicksilver.
Oh, that is my spirit. For my silver is so quick that I have much ado to catch it, and when I have it, it is so nimble that I cannot even hold it. I thought there was a devil in it.
The second, orpiment.
That's no spirit, but a word to conjure a spirit.
The third, Sal Almanac. And the fourth, brimstone.
That's a stinking spirit. I thought there was some spirit in it, because it burnt so blue. For my mother would often tell me when the candle burnt blue, there be some ill spirit in the house. But now I perceive it was the spirit brimstone.
Thou canst remember these spirits.
Oh, let me alone to conjure them.
Now, there are also 7 bodies, but here, cometh my master.
This is a beggar.
No, such cunning men must disguise themselves as though there were nothing in them, for otherwise they shall be compelled to work for princes, and be so constrained as to bewray their arts.
Oh, I like not his attire, but I'm an eminent of his art.
An ounce of silver limed, as much of crude mercury, of spirits 4, being tempted with the body 7, multiplying over 10 times, comes for 1 pound 8,000 pounds, so that I may only have beechen coals.
Is it possible?
More certain than certainty.
I stole a silver thimble. Does one think he could make it a pottle pot?
A bottle pot? Nay, I dare warrant a whole cupboard of plates. Why, of the quintessence of a laden plummet, he hath framed 20 dozen of silver spoons. Look how he studies. I just venture my life he is now casting about how of his breath he may make golden bracelets. For oft times of smoke he hath made silver drops.
Oh, what do I hear?
Didst thou never hear how Jupiter came in a golden shower to Danae?
I remember that tale.
That shower did my master make of a spoonful of tartar loom. But with the fire of blood and the corrosive of the air, he is able to make nothing infinite. But whist, he sees us.
What, Peter, do you loiter, knowing that every minute increaseth our mine?
I was glad to take air, for the metal came so fast that I feared my face would have been turned to silver.
Ooh, but what stripling is this?
One that desires to learn your craft.
Craft? Boy, you must call it mystery.
Oh, all is one. A crafty mystery of mystical craft.
Canst thou take pains?
Infinite.
But thou must be sworn to be secret, and then I will entertain thee.
I can swear, though I be a poor lass, as well as the best girl in the Shire. But, sir, I much marvel that you, being so cunning, can be so ragged.
Oh, my child, griffs make their nests of gold, though their coats be of feathers, and we feather our nests with diamonds, though our garments be but frieze. If thou knewest the secret of this science, the cunning would make thee so proud that thou wouldst disdain the outward pomp.
My master is so ravished with his art that he many times goes supperless to bed, for he will make gold of his bread, and such is the drought of his desire that we all wish our very guts were gold.
I have good fortune to light upon such a master.
When in the depth of my skill, I determine to try the uttermost of mine art. I am dissuaded by the gods. Otherwise, I durst undertake to make the fire as it flames gold, the water, the wind as it blows silver, the water as it runs lead, the earth as it stands iron, the sky brass, and men's thoughts firm metals.
I must bless myself and marvel at you.
Come in, and thou shalt see all.
I follow, I run, I fly. They say my father had a golden thumb. You shall see me have a golden body.
I'm glad of this, for now I shall have leisure to run away. Such a bald art as never was. Let him keep his new charge, for he shall never see his old one again. God shield me from blowing gold to nothing, a strong imagination to make nothing anything.
How now, Gallathea? Miserable Gallathea, that having put on the apparel of a boy, thou canst not also put on the mind. Oh, fair Melibœus, I too fair, and therefore I fear too proud. Had it not been better for thee to have been a sacrifice to Neptune than a slave to Cupid? To die for thy country than to live in thy fancy? To be a sacrifice than a lover? Oh, would, when I hunted his eye with my heart, he might have seen my heart with his eyes. Why did nature to him, a boy, give a face so fair, or to me, a maiden, fortune so hard? It may be, Gallathea. Foolish Gallathea, what may be? Nothing. Let me follow him into the woods, and thou, sweet Venus, be my guide.
Poor Phillida. Curse the time of thy birth and rareness of thy beauty, the unaptness of thy apparel, and the untamedness of thy affections. Art thou no sooner in the habit of a boy, but thou must be enamored of a boy? What shalt thou do when what best liketh thee most discontenteth thee? Go into the woods, watch the good times, his best moods, and transgress in love a little of thy modesty. I will. I dare not. Thou must. Oh, I cannot. Then pine in thine own peevishness. I will not. I will. Oh, Phillida, do something, nay, anything, rather than live thus. Well, what I will do, myself knows not, but what I ought, I know too well. And so I go, resolute either to bewray my love or suffer shame.
Ow! Oh, how now? What new conceits, what strange contraries breed in thy mind? Is Diana become a Venus? Thy chaste thoughts turn to wanton looks, thy conquering modesty to a captive imagination? Beginnest thou with Pyrolis to die in the air and live in the fire? To leave the sweet delight of hunting and to follow the hot desire of love? Oh, Talitha, affections being a lover. And can there in years so young, an education so precise, and vows so holy, and in a heart so chaste, enter either a strong desire or a wish or a wavering thought of love? Can Cupid's brands quench Vesta's flames, and his feeble shafts, headed with feathers, pierce deeper than Diana's arrows, headed with steel? Ah, break thy bow, Tolosa, that seekest to break thy vow, and let those hands that aim to hit the wild heart scratch out those eyes that have wounded thy tame heart. O vain and only naked name of chastity, that is made eternal and perisheth by time, holy and is infected by fancy, divine and is made mortal by folly. Oh, Melibœus, because thou art fair, must I be fickle and false my vow because I see thy virtue? Fond girl that I am to think of love. Nay, vain profession that I follow, to disdain love. Oh, but here cometh Eurota. I must now put on a red mask and blush, lest she perceive my pale face and laugh.
Tolosa. Diana bid me hunt you out and said that you care not to hunt with her, but if you follow any other game than she hath roused, your punishment shall be to bend all our bows and weave all our strings. Why look ye so pale, so sad, so wildly?
Eurota, the game I follow is the thing I fly. My strange disease, my chief desire.
I am no Oedipus to expound riddles, and I muse how thou canst be sphinx to utter them. But I pray thee, Tolosa, what thou ailest? If thou be sick, this ground hath leaves to heal. If melancholy, here are pastimes to use. If peevish, wit must wean it, or time, or counsel. If thou be in love, it shall be cured. Why blushest thou, Tolosa?
To hear thee, in reckoning my pains, to recite thine own. I saw, Eurota, how amorously you glanced your eye on the fair boy in the white coat, and how cunningly now you would have some talk of love. You hit me in the teeth with love.
I confess that I am in love, and yet swear that I not know what it is. I feel my thoughts unknit, mine eyes unstayed, heart I not know whether affected or infected, my sleeps unbroken, my wakeness full of sighs, my sadness, my things so full like in like myself. If this be love, I would never have it been devised.
Thou hast told what I am and uttering what thyself is. These are my passions, Eurota, my unbridled passions, my intolerable passions, which I were as good acknowledge and crave counsel as to deny and endure peril.
How did it take you first, Tolosa?
By the eyes, my wanton eyes, which conceived the picture of his face and hanged it on the very strings of my heart. Oh, Melibœus. Oh, fond Tolosa. But how did it take you, Eurota?
By the ears. Sweet words sunk so deep into my head that it bereaved me of my wisdom. Oh, eloquent titterus. Oh, credulous Eurota. Besout, here cometh Remia. Let him not hear us talk. We will withdraw ourselves and hear her talk.
I am sent to seek others that have lost myself.
You shall see Remia hath also been on a love leave.
Can there be no heart so chaste but love can wound? Nor vows so holy but affection can violate? Vain aren't thou, and virtue and chastity but a byword, when you are both subject to love, of all the things the most abject. If love be a god, why should not lovers be virtuous? Love is a god, and lovers are virtuous.
Indeed, Remia, if lovers were not virtuous, thou wert vicious.
But are you come near me so?
I think we came near you when you said you loved.
Tush, Remia, 'tis too late to recall it, to repent it a shame. Therefore, tell us, what is love?
If myself felt only this infection, I would then take upon me the definition. But being incident to so many, I dare not describe it myself. But we will talk of all that in the woods. Diana stormeth that, sending one to seek another. She loseth all. Servia, of all her nymphs, the coyest, loveth deadly, and exclaimeth against Diana, honoreth Venus, detesteth Vesta, and maketh a common scorn of virtue. Clymene, whose stately look seemed to amaze the greatest lords, stoopeth and yieldeth and fawneth on the strangest boy in the woods. Myself am thrall to that boy, that fair boy, that beautiful boy.
What have we here all in love? No other food than fancy. No, no, she shall not have the fair boy.
Nor you, Talusa.
Nor you, Eroda.
I love Melibœus, and my desert shall be answerable to my desires. I will forsake Diana for him. I will die for him.
So saith Clymene, and she will have him. I care not. My sweet Tityrus, though he seem proud, I impute it to his childishness, who being yet scarce out of Swat's clouts, cannot understand these deep conceits. I love him.
So do I, and I will have him.
Immodest all that we are, unfortunate all that we are like to be. Shall maidens begin to wrangle for love and become wanton in their thoughts, in their words, in their actions? Oh, divine love, which art therefore called divine, because thou overreachest the wisest, conquerest the chastest, and doth all things both unlikely and impossible. Because thou art love, thou makest the bashful impudent, the wise fond, the chaste wanton, and workest contraries to our reach, because thyself is beyond reason.
Talk no more, Talusa, your words wound. Would I were no woman.
Would Tityrus were no boy.
Would Talusa were nobody.
It is pity that nature framed you not a woman, having a face so fair, so lovely, a countenance so modest a behavior.
There is a tree in Telos whose nuts have shells like fire, and, being cracked, the kernel is but water.
What a toy is it to tell me of that tree being nothing to the purpose? I say it is pity you are not a woman.
I would not wish to be a woman unless it was because thou art a man.
Nay, I do not wish to be a woman, for then I should not love thee, for I have sworn never to love a woman.
Strange humor in so pretty a youth, and according to mine, for myself will never love a woman.
It were a shame, if a maiden should be a suitor, a thing hated in that sex, that thou shouldst deny to be her servant.
If it be a shame in me, it can be no commendation in you, for yourself is of that mind.
Suppose I were a maiden, and that, under the habit of a boy, were the person of a maid. If I should utter my affection with sighs, manifest my sweet love by my salt tears, and prove my loyalty unspotted and my griefs intolerable, would not then that fair face pity this true heart?
Admit that I were as you would have me suppose that you are, and that I should, with entreaties, prayers, oaths, bribes, and whatever can be invented in love, desire your favor. Would you not yield?
Tush, you come in with admit.
And you with suppose.
What doubtful speeches be these? I fear me he is as I am, a maiden.
What dread riseth in my mind? I fear the boy to be as I am, a maiden.
Tush, it cannot be. His voice shows the contrary.
Yet I do not think it, for then he would have blushed.
Have you ever a sister?
If I had but one, my brother must needs have two. But I pray, have you ever a one?
My father had but one daughter, and therefore I could have no sister.
Ay me, he is as I am, for his speeches be as mine are.
What shall I do? Either he is subtle, or my sex is simple.
I have known divers of Diana's nymphs enamored of him, yet hath he rejected all, either as too proud to disdain, or too childish not to understand, or for that he knoweth himself to be a maiden.
I'm in a quandary. Diana's nymphs have followed him, and he despised them, either knowing too well the beauty of his own face, or that himself is of the same mold. Oh, I will once again try him. You promised me in the woods that you would love me before all Diana's nymphs.
Ay, so you would love me before all Diana's nymphs.
Can you prefer a fond boy as I am before so fair ladies as they are?
I should not I as well as you.
Come, let us into the grove and make much one of another that cannot tell what to think one of another.
Rafe, my boy is run away. I trust thou wilt not run after.
Why would I had a pair of wings that I might fly after?
My boy was the veriest thief, the arrantest liar, and the vilest swearer in the world. Otherwise, the best boy in the world. He hath stolen my apparel, all my money, and forgot nothing but to bid me farewell.
That will not I forget. Farewell, master.
Oh, why, thou hast not seen the end of my art. Ooh.
I would had I not known the beginning. Did not you promise me of my silver steeple to make an old cupboard of plate, and that of my Spanish needle to build me a silver steeple?
Aye, Rafe, the fortune of this art consisteth in the measure of the fire. For if there be a coal too much or a spark too little, if it be a little too hot or a thought too soft, all our labor is in vain. Besides, they that blow must beat their time with their breaths, as musicians do beat their breasts. So as there must be of the metals, the fire, and the workers, a very harmony.
Nay, if you must weigh your fire by ounces and take measure of a man's blast, you may then make of a dram of wind a wedge of gold, and the shadow of 1 shilling make another. So if you have an organist to tune your temperatures.
Oh, so it is, and often doth it happen that the just proportion of the fire in all things concur.
Concur? Condog! I went away.
Then away!
And I quoth you that one multiplied so much all day that he wanted money to buy meat at night. But what have we here? What devout man! He will never speak till he be urged. I will salute him. Sir, there lieth a purse under your feet. If I thought it were not yours, I would take it up. Dost thou not know that I was calculating the nativity of Alexander's great horse? What are you? An astronomer. What? One of those that makes almanacs? Ipsissimus. I can tell the minute of thy birth, the moment of thy death, and the manner. I can tell thee what weather shall be between this and octagesimus octavus mirabilis annus. When I list, I can set a trap for the sun, catch the moon with lime twigs, and go a bat fowling for the stars. I can tell thee things past and things to come, and with my cunning measure, how many yards of clouds are beneath the sky. Nothing can happen which I foresee not. Nothing shall. I hope, sir, you are no more than a god. Ugh, I can bring the 12 signs out of their zodiacs and hang them up at the tavern. I pray you, sir, tell me what you cannot do. For I perceive there is nothing for you so easy as compasses and possibilities. But what be those signs? Oh, as a man should say, signs which govern the body. The ram governeth the head. Oh, that is the worst sign for the head. Why? Because it's a sign of an ill you. Oh, fash, that sign must be there. Then the bull for the throat, Capricornus for the knees. Oh, I will hear no more of signs, if they be all such desperate signs. But, seeing you are, why not know who to term you? Shall I serve you? I shall fain serve. Yeah, I accept thee. Happy am I, but now I shall reach thoughts and tell how many drops of water goes to the greatest shower of rain. You shall see me catch the moon like a coney in a purse net. I will teach thee the golden number, the epoch, and the prime. I will meddle no more with numbering of God, for multiplication is a miserable action. I pray, sir, what weather shall we have here? This hour 60 years. That I must cast by our judicials astronomical. Therefore, come in with me, and thou shalt see every wrinkle in my astrological wisdom. And I will make the heavens as plain to thee as the highway. Thy cunning shall sit cheek by jowl with the sun's chariot. Then thou shalt see what a base thing it is to have Others' thoughts crawl upon the ground, when his thine shall be stitched to the stars.
Then I shall be translated from this mortality.
Thy thoughts shall be metamorphosed and made hail fellows with the gods.
Oh, fortune! I feel my very brains moralized, and as it were, a certain contempt of earthly actions is crept into my mind like an ethereal contemplation. Come, let us in. Yes, come.
What news have we here, ladies? Are all in love? Are Diana's nymphs become Venus's wantons? Is it a shame to be chaste because you be amiable? And must you needs be amorous because you are fair? O Venus, if this be thy spite, I will requite it with more than hate. Well shalt thou know what it is to drib thine arrows up and down Diana's lees. There is an unknown nymph that straggleth up and down these woods, which I suspect hath been the weaver of these woes. I saw her slumbering by the brook's side. Go, search her, and bring her. If you find upon her shoulder a burn, it is Cupid. If any print on her back like a leaf, it is Medea. If any picture on her left breast like a bird, it is Calypso. Whoever it be, bring her hither, and speedily bring her hither.
I will go with speed.
Now, ladies, doth not that make your cheeks blush that make mine ears glow? Or can you remember that without sobs which Diana cannot think on without sighs? What greater dishonor could happen to Diana, or to her nymph's shame, than that there be any time so idle that should make their head so addle? Your chaste hearts, my nymphs, should resemble the onyx, which is hottest when it is whitest, and your thoughts, the more they are assaulted with desires, the less they should be affected. You should think love like Homer's moly, a white leaf and a black root, a fair show and a bitter taste. Of all affections, love hath the greatest name and the least virtue. Shall it be said, and shall Venus say it? Nay. Shall it be seen, and shall wanton see it, that Diana, the goddess of chastity, whose thoughts are always answerable to her vows, whose eyes never glanced on desire, and whose heart abateth the point of Cupid's arrows, shall have her maidens become unchaste in desires, immoderate in affection, untemperate in love, in foolish love, in base love? Oh, my dear nymphs, if you knew how loving thoughts stain lovely faces, you would be as careful to have the one as unspotted as the other beautiful. Love's desire corrupteth all other virtues. I blush, ladies, that you, having been heretofore patient of labours, should now become prentices to idleness, and use the pen for sonnets, not the needle for samplers. And how is your love placed? Upon pelting buoys, perhaps base of birth, without doubt weak of discretion. Ay, but they are fair. Oh, ladies, do your eyes begin to love colours whose hearts was wont to loathe them? Is Diana's chase become Venus's court? And are your holy vows turned to hollow thoughts?
Madam, if love were not a thing beyond reason, we might then give a reason of our doings. But so divine in his forth that it worketh effects as contrary to that we wish, as unreasonable against that we ought.
Ladies, so unacquainted are the passions of love that we can neither describe them nor bear them.
Foolish girls, how willing you are to follow that which you should fly. But here cometh Toulouse.
We have brought the disguised nymph and have found on his shoulder Psyche's burn, and he confesseth himself to be Cupid.
How now, sir? Are you caught? Are you Cupid?
Thou shalt see, Diana, that I dare confess myself to be Cupid.
And thou shalt see, Cupid, that I will show myself to be Diana. That is conqueror of thy loose and untamed appetites. Did thy mother Venus, under the colour of a nymph, send thee hither to wound my nymphs? Does she add craft to her malice, and mistrusting her deity, practice deceit? Is there no place but my groves, no patterns but my nymphs? Cruel and unkind Venus, that spiteth only chastity, thou shalt see that Diana's power shall revenge thy policy and tame this pride. As for thee, Cupid, I will break thy bow and burn thine arrows, bind thy hands, clip thy wings, and fetter thy feet. Thou that fattest others with hopes shall be fed thyself with wishes, and thou that bindest others with golden thoughts shall be bound thyself with golden fetters. Venus's rods are made of roses, Diana's are briars. Let Venus, that great goddess, ransom Cupid, that little god. These ladies here, whom thou hast infected with foolish love, shall both tread on thee and triumph over thee. Thine own arrows shall be shot into thine own bosom, and thou shalt be enamoured not on Psyche's, but on Circe's. I will teach thee what it is to displease Diana, distress her nymphs, or disturb her game.
Diana, what I have done cannot be undone. But what you mean to do shall. Venus hath some gods to her friends, Cupid shall have all.
Shh. Are you prating? I will bridle thy tongue and thy power, and, in spite of mine own thoughts, I will set thee a task every day, which, if thou finish not, thou shalt feel the smart. Thou shalt be used as Diana's slave, not Venus's son. All the world shall see that I will use thee like a captive and show myself a conqueror. Come, have him in that we may devise apt punishments for his proud presumptions.
We will plague you for a little god.
We will never pity thee, though thou be a god.
Nor I.
This is the day wherein you must satisfy Neptune and save yourselves. Call together your fair daughters, and for a sacrifice take the fairest, for better it is to offer a maiden than suffer ruin. If you think it against nature to sacrifice your children, think it also against sense to destroy your country. If you imagine Neptune pitiless to desire such a prey, confess yourselves perverse to deserve such a punishment. You see this tree, this fatal tree whose leaves, though they glister like gold, yet it threateneth to fair maidens' grief. To this tree must the beautifulest be bound until the monster Ager carry her away. And if the monster come not, then assure yourselves that the fairest is concealed, and then your country shall be destroyed. Therefore consult with yourselves, not as fathers of children, but as favorers of your country. Let Neptune have his right, if you'll have your quiet. Thus have I warned you to be careful, and would wish you to be wise, knowing that whoso hath the fairest daughter hath the greatest fortune in losing one to save all. And so I depart to provide ceremonies for the sacrifice, and command you to bring the sacrifice.
They say, Tityrus, you have a fair daughter, and if it be so, dissemble not, for you shall be a fortunate father. It is a thing holy to preserve one's country, and honorable to the cause.
Indeed, Melibius, I have heard you boast you had a fair daughter, than the which none was more beautiful. I hope you are not so careful of a child that you will be careless of your country, or add so much to nature that you will detract from wisdom.
I must confess I had a daughter, and I know you have, but alas, My child's cradle was her grave, and her swath clout her winding sheet. I would she had lived till now. She would willingly have died now. For what could have happened to poor Melibœus more comfortable than to be the father of a fair child and sweet country?
Melibœus, dissemble you may with men, deceive the gods you cannot. Did I not see, and very lately see, your daughter in your arms, when as you gave her infinite kisses with affection I fear more than fatherly? You have conveyed her away that you might cast us all away, bereaving her the honor of her beauty and us the benefit, preferring a common inconvenience before a private mischief.
It is a bad cloth, Tityrus, that will take no colour, and a simple father that will use no cunning. You make the people believe that you wish well when you practice nothing but ill, wishing to be thought religious toward the gods when I know you deceitful toward men. You cannot overreach me, Tityrus. Overreach yourself you may. It's a wily mouse that will breed in the cat's ear, and he must halt cunningly that will deceive a cripple. Did you ever see me kiss my daughter? Oh, you are deceived. It was my wife. And if you thought so young a piece unfit for so old a person, and therefore imagined it to be my child, not my spouse, you must know that silver hairs delight in golden locks, and the old fancies crave young nurses, and frosty years must be thawed by youthful fires. But this matter set aside, you have a fair daughter, Tityrus, and it is pity you are so fond of father.
You are both either too fond or too forward. For whilst you dispute to save your daughters, we neglect to prevent our destruction. Come, let us away and seek out a sacrifice. We must sift out their cunning and let them shift for themselves.
Come, Cupid, to your task. First, you must undo all these lovers' knots, because you've tied them.
If they be true love knots, 'tis impossible to unknit them, if false I never tied them.
Make no excuse, but to it.
Love knots are tied with eyes, and cannot be undone with hands. Made fast with thoughts, and cannot be unloosed with fingers. Had Diana no task to set Cupid to but things impossible? I will do it, I will do it.
Why, how now? You tie that knot faster.
I cannot choose to go against my mind to make them loose.
Let me see now. 'Tis impossible to be undone.
It is the true love knot of a woman's heart, therefore cannot be undone.
That falls in sunder of itself.
It was made of a man's thought, which will never hang together.
You have undone that well.
Not because it was never tied well.
To the rest, for she will give you no rest. These two knots are finally untied.
It was because I never tied them. The one was knit by Pluto, not Cupid, by money, not love, the other by force, not faith, by appointment, not affection.
Why do you lay that knot aside?
For death.
Why?
Because the knot was knit by faith and must only be unknit of death.
Why laugh you?
Because it is the fairest and the falsest done with greatest art and least truth with best colors and worst conceits.
Who tied it?
A man's tongue.
Why do you put that on my bosom?
Because it is only for a woman's bosom.
Why? What is it?
A woman's heart.
Come, let us go in until the Cupid hath done his task. Stay you behind, Eurota, and see he sleep not, for love will be idle. And take heed you surfeit not, for love will be wanton.
Let me alone. I will find him somewhat to do.
Lady, can you for pity see Cupid thus punished?
Why did Cupid punish us without pity?
Is love a punishment?
It's no pastime.
Oh, Venus! If thou sawest Cupid as a captive bound to obey, that was wont to command, fearing ladies' threats that once pierced their hearts, I cannot tell whether thou wouldst revenge it for despite, or laugh at it for disport. The time may come, Diana, and the time shall come, that thou that settest Cupid to undo knots shall entreat Cupid to tie knots, and you, ladies, that with solace have beheld my pains, shall with sighs entreat my pity. He offereth to sleep.
How now, Cupid, you begin to nod?
Night.
Come, Cupid! Diana hath devised new labors for you that are god of loves. You shall weave samplers all night, and lackey after Diana all day. You shall shortly shoot at beasts for men, because you have made beasts of men, and wait on ladies' trains, because thou entrappest ladies by trains. All the stories that are in Diana's arrays, which are of love, you must pick out with your needle, and in that place sue Vesta with her nuns, and Diana with her nymphs. How like you this, Cupid?
I say I will prick as well with my needle as ever I did with mine arrows.
Diana cannot yield. She conquers affection.
Diana shall yield. She cannot conquer destiny.
Come, Cupid, you must to your business.
You shall find me so busy in your heads that you shall wish I had been idle with your hearts.
This day is the solemn sacrifice at this tree, wherein the fairest maiden, were not the inhabitant faithless, should be offered unto me. But over careful are fathers to their children, that they forget the safety of their country, and fearing to become unnatural, become unreasonable. Their sleights may blame men, deceive me they cannot. I will be here at the hour, and show as great cruelty as they have done craft, and well shall they know that Neptune should have been entreated, not cousin.
I marvel what maiden the people will present. It is happy you are none, for then it would have fallen to your lot, because you are so fair.
If you had been a maiden too, I need not to have feared, because you are fairer.
I pray thee, sweet boy, flatter not me, speak truth of thyself, for in mine eye of all the world thou art fairest.
These be fair words, but far from thy true thoughts. I know mine own face in a true glass, and desire not to see it in a flattering mouth.
Oh, would I did flatter thee, and that fortune would not flatter me. I love thee as a brother, but love not me so.
No, I will not, but love thee better, because I cannot love as a brother.
Seeing as we are both boys and both lovers, that our affection may have some show and seem as it were love, let me call thee mistress.
I accept that name, for divers before have called me mistress.
For what cause?
Nay, there lie the mysteries.
Will not you be at the sacrifice?
No.
Why?
Because I dreamt that if I were there, I should be turned into a maiden, and then, being so fair as thou sayst I am, I should be offered. Thou knowest one must. But will not you be there?
Not unless I were sure that a boy might be sacrificed and not a maiden.
Why, then you are in danger.
But I would escape it by deceit. But seeing we are resolved to be both absent, let us wander into these groves till the hour be past.
I am agreed, for then my fear will be past.
Why? What dost thou fear?
Nothing, but that you love me not.
I will. Poor Phillida, what shouldst thou think of thyself that lovest one that I fear me is as thyself is? And may it not be that her father practiced the same deceit with her that my father hath with me, and knowing her to be fair, feared she should be unfortunate? If it be so, Phillida, how desperate is thy case? If it be not, how doubtful? For if she be a maiden, there is no hope of my love. If a boy, a hazard. I will after him or her and lead a melancholy life that look for a miserable death.
No more masters now. But a mistress, if I can light on her. An astronomer. Of all occupations, that's the worst. Yet welfare the alchemist, for he keeps good fires, but he gets no gold. The other stands warming himself by staring on the stars, which I think he can as soon as number as make virtues, and told me a long tale of octogesimus octavus and the meeting of the conjunctions and planets. And in the meantime, he fell over backwards himself into a pond. I asked him why he foresaw not that in the stars. He said he knew it, but contemned it. But so, is this my sister Robin?
Yes, a sure spell Rafe.
What Robin? What news? What fortunes?
Oh, faith, I've had a bad fortune. But I prithee thee, tell me thine.
Oh, I have had two masters, not by art, but by nature. One said that by multiplying he would make of a penny £10.
But could he do it?
Could he do it, quoth you? Why, sister, I saw a pretty wench come into his shop, wherewith huffing and blowing and puffing and sweating, he so plied her that he multiplied her.
How?
Why, he made her of one too.
What, by fire?
No, by the philosopher's stone.
Why have philosophers such stones?
Aye, but they lie in a privy cupboard.
Why, then thou art Ritter Blowless cunning.
Tush, this was nothing. He would of a little fasting spittle make a hose and doublet of a cloth of silver.
Oh, would I have been with him, for I have had no meat but spittle since I came to the woods.
How the didst thou live?
Why, man, I served a fortune teller, who said I should have to see my father hanged, and both my brothers beg. So I conclude the meal shall be mine, and I live by imagination still.
Thy master was an ass, and looked on the lines of thy hands. But my master was an astronomer, which could pick my nativity out of the stars. I should have half a dozen of stars in my pocket if I've not lost them already. Look, here they be. Sol, Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, Venus.
Why, these be but names.
Aye, but by these he gathereth that I was a Jovialist, born of a Thursday, and that I should be a brave Venerean and get all me good luck on a Friday.
'Tis strange that a fish day should be a flesh day.
Robin, Venus or Tamari. Venus was born of the sea will have fish must have wine will have flesh, for cara genus cust est muliebre. Soft, here cometh that notable villain that once preferred me to the alchemist.
So had I a master, I would not care what became of me.
Robin, thou shalt see me fit him. So I had a servant. I care neither for his conditions, his qualities, nor his person.
What, Rafe? Well met. No doubt you had a warm service of my master, the alchemist.
'Twas warm indeed, for the fire had almost burnt out mine eyes, and yet me teeth still watered with hunger, so that my service was both too hot and too cold. I melted all me meat and made only my slumber thoughts, and so had a full head and an empty belly. Where hast thou been since?
A brother of thine, I think, for he has such a coat, and two sisters, you say, seeking of fortunes.
'Tis my brother Dick. I prithee, let's go to him.
Sirrah, what was he doing that he came not with thee?
He has got a master now that will teach him to make you both his younger siblings.
Aye, thou passest for devising impossibilities. That's as true as thy master could make silver pots of tags of points.
Nay, he will teach him to cousin you both, and so get the mill for himself.
Nay, if he be both our cousins, I will be his great-grandmother, and Robin shall be his aunt. But I pray thee, bring us to him quickly, for I am great-bellied with conceit till I see him.
Come then and go with me, and I will bring thee to him straight.
Bring forth the maiden, the fatal maiden, the fairest maiden, if you mean to appease Neptune and preserve your country.
She cometh. accompanied only with men, because it is a sight unseemly to see the misfortune of a maiden, and terrible to behold the fierceness of Aegir the monster.
Oh, miserable and accursed he be, that being neither fair nor fortunate, thou shouldst be thought most happy and beautiful. Curse thy birth, thy life, thy death, being born to live in danger, and having lived to die by deceit. Art thou the sacrifice to appease Neptune and satisfy the custom, the bloody custom, ordained for the safety of thy country? Ay, Hebe, poor Hebe, men will have it so. Nay, the gods will have it so. Shall it only be lawful amongst us in the prime of youth and pride of beauty to destroy both youth and beauty and what was honored in fruits and flowers as a virtue to violate in a maiden as a vice? Destiny allowed no dispute. Die, Hebe. Hebe, die. Woeful Hebe, and only accursed Hebe. Farewell the sweet delights of life, and welcome now the bitter pangs of death. Farewell the pomp of princes' courts. Oh, farewell the sovereign of all virtue and goddess of all maidens, Diana. Oh, farewell, sweet parents, yet to be mine, unfortunate parents. Farewell life, vain life, wretched life. Come, death, and welcome death. Come, Aegir, thou insatiable monster of maidens' bloods and devourer of beauty's vowels. Glut thyself till thou surfeit, and let my life in thine. Tear these tender joints with thy greedy jaws, this fair face with thy foul teeth. Why abatest thou wanted swiftness? I am fair. I am a maiden. I am ready. Come, Aegir, the horrible monster in farewell world, thou viler monster.
The monster has not come, and therefore I see Neptune is abused, whose rage will I fear me be both infinite and intolerable. Taken his maiden, whose want of beauty hath saved her own life and destroyed all yours.
We could not find
Neptune will. Go, deliver her to her father.
Oh, fortunate Hebe, how thou shalt express thy joys. Nay, unhappy girl, that art not the fairest. Had it not been better for thee to have died with fame than to live with dishonor, to prefer the safety of thy country and rareness of thy beauty before the sweetness of life and vanity of the world. But alas, destiny would not have it so. Destiny could not. For it asketh the beautiful lass, how would he be thou hadst been beautiful?
Come, Hebe, here is no time for us to reason. It had been best for us, thou hadst been most beautiful.
We met the maiden that should have been offered to Neptune. Belike either the custom is pardoned or she not thought fairest.
I cannot conjecture the cause, but I fear the event.
Why should you fear? The god requireth no boy.
Well, I would he did, then I should have no fear.
I am glad he doth not, though, because if he did, I should also have cause to fear. But soft, what manner god is this? Let us closely withdraw ourselves into the thickets.
And do men begin to be equal with gods, seeking by craft to overreach them, that by power oversee them? Do they dote so much on their daughters that they stick not to dally with our deities? Well, shall the inhabitants see that destiny cannot be prevented by craft, nor my anger be appeased by submission. I will make havoc of Diana's nymphs. My temple shall be dyed with maiden's blood, and there shall be nothing more vile than to be a maiden. To be young and fair shall be accounted shame and punishment, in so much as it shall be thought as dishonorable to be honest, as fortunate to be deformed.
Oh, Neptune, hast thou forgotten thyself, or wilt thou clean forsake me? Hath Diana therefore brought danger to her nymphs because they be chaste? Shall virtue suffer both pain and shame, which always deserveth praise and honour?
Praise and honor, Neptune. Nothing less, except it be commendable to be coy and honorable to be peevish. Sweet Neptune, if Venus can do anything, let her try it in this one thing, that Diana may find a small comfort at thy hands, as love hath found courtesy at hers. This is she that hateth sweet delights, envieth loving desires, masketh wanton eyes, stoppeth amorous ears, bridleth youthful mouths, and, under a name or a word, constancy, entertaineth all kinds of cruelty. She hath taken my son Cupid. Oh, Cupid, my lovely son, using him like a apprentice, whipping him like a slave, scorning him like a beast. Therefore, Neptune, I entreat thee with no other god than the god of love, that thou evil entreat this goddess of hate.
I muse not a little to see you two in this place, at this time, and about this matter. But what say you, Diana? Have you Cupid captive?
I say there's nothing more vain than to dispute with Venus, whose untamed affections have bred more brawls in heaven than is fit to repeat in earth, or possible to recount in number. I have Cupid, and will keep him, not to dandle in my lap, whom I abhor in my heart, but to laugh him to scorn that hath made in my maiden's heart such deep scars.
Scars, Diana? Call you them that I know to be bleeding wounds? Alas, weak deity, it stretcheth not so far both to abate the sharpness of his arrows and to heal the hurts. No, love's wounds, when they seem green, rankle, and having a smooth skin without, fester to the death within. Therefore, Neptune, if ever Venus stood thee instead, further thy fancies, or shall at all times be at thy command, let either Diana bring her maidens to a continual massacre, or release Cupid of his martyrdom.
It is known, Venus, that your tongue is as unruly as your thoughts, and your thoughts as unstayed as your eyes. Diana cannot chatter. Venus cannot choose.
It is an honor for Diana to have Venus mean ill, when she speaketh so well. But you shall see, I come not to trifle. Therefore, once again, Neptune, if that be not marriage which can never die, fancy, or that quenched which must ever burn, affection, show thyself the same Neptune that I knew thee to be when thou wast a shepherd, and let not Venus's words be vain in thine ears, since thine were imprinted in my heart.
It were unfit that goddesses should strive, and it were unreasonable that I should not yield. And therefore, to please both attend. Diana I must honor, her virtue deserveth no less. But Venus I must love, I must confess so much. Diana restoreth Cupid to Venus, and I will forever release the sacrifice of maidens. If therefore you love your nymphs as she doth her son, or prefer not a private grudge before a common greed, answer what you will do.
I account not the choice hard. For had I 20 Cupids, I would deliver them all to save one maiden, knowing love to be a thing of all the vainest, maidenty to be a virtue of all the noblest. I yield. Toulousa, bring out Cupid. And now shall it be said that Cupid saved those he thought to spoil?
I agree to this willingly, for I will be wary how my son wander again. But Diana cannot forbid him to wound.
Yes, chastity is not within the level of his bow.
But beauty is a fair mark to hit.
Well, I am glad you are agreed, and say that Neptune hath dealt well with beauty and chastity.
Here, take your son.
Sir, where have you been? Always taken, first by Sappho, now by Diana. How happeneth it, you unhappy elf?
Coming through Diana's woods and seeing so many fair faces with fond hearts, I thought for my sport to make them smart, and so was taken by Diana.
I am glad I have you.
And I'm glad I'm rid of him.
Oh, alas, poor boy! All thy wings clipped, thy brands quenched, thy bow burnt, and thy arrows broke.
Aye, but it skilleth not. I bear now mine arrows in my eyes, my wings in my thoughts, my brands in mine ears, and my bow in my mouth. So as I can wound with looking, fly with thinking, burn with hearing, and shoot with speaking.
Well, you shall up to heaven with me, for on earth thou wilt lose me.
But soft, what be these?
Those that have offended thee to save their daughters?
Why? Had you a fair daughter?
Aye, and Melibius a fair daughter.
Where be they?
In yonder woods, and methinks I see them coming.
Well, your deserts have not gotten pardoned, but these goddesses' jars.
This is my daughter, my sweet Phillida.
And this is my fair Gallathea.
Unfortunate Gallathea, if this be Phillida.
Accursed Phillida, if that be Gallathea.
And wast thou all this while enamored of Phillida? That sweet Phillida?
Couldst thou dote upon the face of a maiden, thyself being one, on the face of fair Gallathea?
Do you both love one another?
I had thought the habit agreeable with the sex, and so burned in the fire of mine own fancies.
I had thought that in the attire of a boy there could not have lodged the body of a maiden, and so was inflamed with a sweet desire which now I find a sour deceit.
Now things falling out as they do, you must leave these fond affections. Nature will have it so, necessity must.
I will never love any but Phillida. Her love is engraven in my heart with her eyes.
Nor I any but Gallathea, whose faith is imprinted in my thoughts by her words.
An idle choice, strange and foolish, for one maiden to dote on another, and to imagine a constant faith where there can be no cause of affection. How like you this, Venus?
I like well and allow it. They shall both be possessed of their wishes, for never shall it be said that nature or fortune shall overthrow love and faith. Is your love unspotted, begun with truth, continued with constancy, and not to be altered till death?
Die, Gallathea, if thy love be not so.
Accursed be thou, Phillida, if thy love be not so.
Suppose all this, Venus, what then?
Then shall it be seen that I can marry them, and that I will.
Is it possible?
What is to love or the mistress of a love unpossible? Was it not Venus that favored Iphis and Dianthe? Now, how say ye? Are ye agreed to be married presently?
I am content so I may embrace Gallathea.
I wish it so I may enjoy Phillida.
'Tis unexpected and not our usual way. How say you, Tityrus? Shall we refer it to Venus?
I am content because she is a goddess.
Neptune, you will not dislike it.
Not I.
Nor you, Diana.
Not I.
Cupid shall not.
I will not.
Then let us depart for the church where Gallathea and Phillida shall be united in one love. Doth it suffice?
And satisfy us both, doth it not, Gallathea?
Yes, Phillida.
Come, Robin, I am glad we've met with thee, for now we will make our father laugh at these tales.
What are these that so male partly thrust themselves into our companies?
Forsooth, madam, we are fortune tellers.
Fortune tellers, tell me my fortune.
We do not mean fortune tellers, we mean fortune tellers. We can tell what fortune we have had these 12 months in the woods.
Let them alone, they be but peevish.
Yet they will be good as minstrels at the marriage to make us all merry.
Aye, ladies, we bear a very fair consort.
Can you sing?
Basely.
And you?
Mainly.
And what can you do?
If they double it, I will treble it.
Then ye shall go with us and sing Hymen before the marriage. Are you content?
Content? Never better content. For there we shall be sure to fill our bellies with capons, rumps, or some such dainty dishes.
Then follow us.
Tis I only that conclude. You ladies may see that Venus can make constancy, fickleness, courage, cowardice, modesty, lightness, working things impossible in your sex, and tempering hardest hearts like softest wool. Yield, ladies. Yield to love, ladies, which lurketh under your eyelids whilst you sleep, and playeth with your heartstrings whilst you wake, whose sweetness never breedeth satiety, labor, weariness, nor grief, bitterness. Cupid was begotten in a mist, nursed in clouds and sucking only upon conceits. Confess him a conqueror, whom ye ought to regard, since it is impossible to resist. For this is infallible, that love conquereth all things but itself, and ladies, all hearts but their own.